G'day legends, and welcome back to Chasing Better with Knoxy for another fantastic episode packed with an amazing story with a great guest and a great friend of mine. I've known her for probably just on 2 years now. So nearly 2 years through ketones, through the gym, like awesome lady. She's done some amazing work in the care facilities here in Mandurah and continues to do so to this day. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Raneeta McCormick.
Hello.
Come on down. So welcome aboard, champ. And I suppose probably the first thing is how you going?
Alright.
Yeah, good.
Nervous, but yeah.
Yeah, nervous. Yeah, that's fine. So have you ever been on a podcast or anything like that before?
No.
No? Good. I already knew the answer to that, but I love asking it anyway. It's great. But yeah, so ice officially broken. That's good. So I suppose you've had an amazing transformation journey with us at TBC. You've been training with us for probably just over 12 to 18 months, I think it is now, roughly, give or take. And there's been some massive highs, a few lows here and there, and obviously there's going to be highs and lows for anyone that is going through a transformation or a body journey or whatever the case may be, and just chasing that general better lifestyle for themselves. What kind of prompted you to get started with the gym in the first place? Like, take us back to kind of that initial thought process that was like, you know what, I need to take some action. Whether it was, the fat loss or, I'm just sick of my body looking the way it is or whatever the case, energy, what was the go there?
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of energy and I really wanted to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to come off my high blood pressure tablets. I've tried all different things and other medications has also made me put on my weight, but also watching Raneeta Bailey.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Anita.
Hey Anita. She was my big inspiration as well, watching her go through her transformation and her weight loss and stuff as well.
Awesome. So what do you currently do with yourself? Now, I did mention that you do care nursing. So what's the go there? Like, how long have you been doing that? Like, is that I think Lauren, we've had on recently, she does similar sort of stuff. She's done it for the last couple of years and absolutely loves it. Yeah. How long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing caring now for 20 years.
Yeah. And
where I'm working at the moment, this month I'll be there 13 years.
Yeah, right. Do you get a badge or anything?
No.
No?
No.
Oh man, I think you guys, anyone that goes through a job for 20 years at least, should at least get a badge of something. That'll be sick. I know you got a name badge, I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think that was the first time the other day actually. But yeah, so what kind of got you into the care industry? Like, how did you kind of get started with that?
Well, I was pregnant with my son, Brendan, and I've always loved looking after people and caring for people. So I did a course when I was pregnant. Yep. For 6 months, and then obviously I had Brendan, and yeah, I just love helping people.
Brilliant. So I mean, the great thing there is that we can see that you're a giving personality, and I've told you this a million times, it's probably a daily occurrence actually, but the great thing with that is you can also see, did you feel when you wanted to join the gym or, start chasing a better lifestyle or a better body or, get some fitness or whatever, was there a moment where you realized that it was time for you to come first for a change? Do you ever find, or did you find that you were kind of giving everything to everyone, and then it was like, oh, I'll look after myself eventually when I get some spare time?
So yeah, I always found happiness in giving than receiving. Yep. So I always made sure I looked after everyone else first before I looked after me. Yep. Always been like that. Yep.
Did you ever find, because of that there were limitations to how thinly you could be stretched as someone that just gives all the time? Yeah. And I mean, I suppose something really powerful with that is we've got a lot of ladies at our gym, and I think just for listeners out there and people viewing on YouTube, the great thing is mums and women sometimes don't actually realize that they do it without someone actually sitting them down and going, hey, you need to start looking at yourself for a change and start coming first for a change. And I see it all the time with ladies that have let their health go and all these sorts of things, and they come in and they don't know where to start, and sometimes they just need to hear, hey, let's put you first.
Yeah.
And it's okay for the family to come second. And I think that's probably a really powerful thing I've seen you kind of learn over the last 18 months, which has been fantastic. Because it's not just about getting stronger and throwing weights around the gym and all that sort of stuff. There's so many different kind of assets to living a better lifestyle and a better life. And I think it's really powerful. So like, how do you feel that's affected you in your day-to-day life? Just that kind of feeling of it's okay for me to look after myself a bit more.
Yes, since I've started looking after myself a lot more, I have more energy, and you can see the true, just true with everything, like, I mean, sometimes like my family or my friends will go, oh, here we go, you're going to the gym again, or whatever, and it's like, well, at the end of the day, it's my health that's more important. I need to get it back on track and look after me and let me do what I want to do for once.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you actually start to feel strong, and you actually start to feel that there's so much more to it than like, oh, I just go to the gym every week and I love the people I'm training with. I'm like, I'm actually becoming a better person. And like, for you, someone who gives all the time, like, some people don't think that there's anything else. Like, they don't realize that there is, like, they actually can grow still, right? Like, which is really cool. So, training wise, you've done a massive transformation. Now, when you first joined, I love bringing this up, but the great thing is we've seen you drop 20 odd kilos, which is fantastic. You look fantastic. Your movement and ability in the gym is like 10 times, if not 100 times better than what it was when you first started. And I suppose, what's been your biggest win since training with us at TBC, and like, what do you feel is kind of like your biggest kind of achievement since you've been with us?
Well, like I said, I would never get under 100 kilos. But we did.
Yeah.
The bar.
Thank you for adding a we in there. That was good. Yeah. We made it happen. No, that was good. Yeah.
The bar.
Yeah.
And I went, nah, that's not going to happen. But we got there in the end.
Yeah. So that was, for people listening in, that was barbell squats, so back squats. Raneeta's got severe kyphotic upper backs, which means that she gets a lot of her shoulders round forward quite a lot. From years of leaning forward, 20 years in the care industry wouldn't help with that either, picking people up from the front and all that sort of stuff. So we've had to do some massive work on mobility and flexibility and range work on your shoulders. But again, there were probably 2 or 3 sessions in a row where we tried to get you to feel a bit more comfortable with a barbell on your back, and you pretty much were ready to walk out of the gym, I think, at one stage. And
I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to try that one.
Yeah, and I think, like, to take that through as a massive win, like, failure being part of the process, it's something I harp on about all the time. I think it's a very powerful message, but like, what was kind of going through your head when you had moments like that, where it was like, oh, well, maybe I just can't do this. Like, it's just not meant for me. And like, what helped you bounce back?
Yes, I was many times I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
And then I went, no, I'm not going to let it get the better of me. I want to prove everybody wrong, and I know I can do it.
Yeah.
You just got to think positive. Yeah. That's the hardest part, I think. You've got to try and just stay positive all the time. Yeah.
I suppose the community's been massive for you of the gym environment, like being around other positive people for a change. And I know in your work life, like it can be a pretty morbid place at times, obviously, with everyone being sad and, upset, and, like, you're working with the older generation of people. And so it's not always like an up and about job. I know you guys do your best to obviously make it that way, which is fantastic. And I think that's probably really cool to, like, have you found it's been an amazing positive outlet to be able to just kind of cut the shackles of the shitty day, if you've had a shitty day, and just come on in and just like have 45 minutes of you time?
Yeah.
And I think, like, how's that helped you? Like, do you find it's a lot easier to kind of switch off from work, potentially, like after you've had a good gym session, or you've had that outlet for, you may have had a stressful day or whatever the case may be?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's many days I've had stressful days, as you know, like actually,
Yeah,
yeah, what's wrong? Yeah, and then yeah, you get into my workout, get into it, you know, and stuff, and then I feel good afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, that's probably just what I needed.
Yeah.
You know, get the tension out, the stress levels come down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Fantastic.
Yeah, got fantastic people to work with, so, you know.
Awesome, man.
And a joke.
Yeah, no, the banter is real with Raneeta. She's one of our rowdiest members, which is great. It's definitely a good title to have. But winding the clock back a bit, what were you like as a kid? Did you ever, like, because obviously 20 kilos heavier was a big deal for you as an adult. Like, were you a big kid? Was there any, like...
I've always been overweight.
Okay, yeah.
But I was active as well.
Yeah?
But I think that was mostly to do because of the tablets that I had to take for my epilepsy, of course.
Yep.
That makes you put on heaps of weight, and it's really hard to, you know, take off. And look, I mean, we weren't, like, growing up, we didn't really eat properly. We were living off baked beans and spaghettis and all that sort of stuff.
A lot of processed stuff. Yep.
And
hearty meals.
A lot of carbs.
Yeah. So when, like, the epilepsy side of things, was that you know, since birth, or was it something that you kind of found out about later as a kid? Or?
I had it when I was about 7.
Yep.
And then apparently I grew out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any seizures or any medications for like 14 years.
Okay, right.
So, and then I did lose some weight.
Yep.
It was great, but then after 14 years, I had a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
I knew myself, so luckily I was at the hospital when that happened, and we had to go back onto the Eplum, and Eplum does make you hungry all the time. You just want to crave food all the time.
Yep.
All you do is eat.
Yeah, sweet.
So so I noticed that I was putting on more and more weight. And I tried all different things and it didn't work until I met you, because I met you at Anita's, I think it was, and we were talking about ketones and all sorts, and then I got you to come over and I said, well, this is what I'm eating, and you went, Yeah. So, yeah.
So from a nutrition point of view, you know, you thought you were doing well.
Yes.
Right? Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because that was your norm and you'd never been told any different, did you find it confronting to have a coach come in and go, hey, like, this is just not going to work?
Oh yeah, especially from you. No.
Yeah.
I did find it a little bit daunting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
But it was probably a good thing. You
Yeah.
know, like maybe that's what I needed. Like, okay, let's trial this. You know what I mean as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the biggest thing, I think we started at first from memory because it was a while back, but like I think the biggest thing was just making a couple of little changes, because even I could tell from your body language that you were like really like, I don't know if I want to change anything here. Like, this guy's trying to change my whole life, and it's like we just focused on a few little habits here and there, and just tried to get you eating, I think, a bit more consistently. That was probably the biggest issue with you, because a common thing we see with like caregivers, teachers, mums, all that sort of stuff, they again eat as the final person to eat for the day. So they've already made sure everyone else has eaten. So a common thing we see is that they eat dinner and that's it. They don't have breakfast, they don't have, they live off coffee and caffeine, and then essentially they get stuck into dinner and wonder why they can't change their body composition, they can't get muscle gain, they can't, have good energy, all these sorts of things. But again, like we said before, like you that becomes the norm, right? And it's like, cool, me coming in and going, there is a better way. Come over here.
10 cans of Pepsi and stuff, yeah.
So I mean, it's really, really cool to see, like, hear about that mindset of, like, there is a fear of change.
Especially for a person who doesn't like change. I'm not a very good person for change.
Yep. And I mean, like, I suppose probably as a word of advice for, those listening that are wanting to take that first step towards potentially, changing something in their life, whether it be their food, their nutrition, or a complete overhaul like you've done, like, what would be kind of your top 3 tips to making that happen? Like, taking that first step, like what's the sort of thing that kind of you would recommend to someone? Because I know you've referred people to the gym, which is great, but, and I know you talk about better habits all the time with your mates, I'm assuming, but like what would be kind of something you'd lead with to kind of help persuade someone to show that it is possible?
I would just explain to them my life experience at first, and this is the way I coped with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've been there. It's very daunting when you first go to a gym or approach someone, but just give it a go.
Yeah.
There's no harm in giving it a go.
Yeah. And it's like the worst thing, and you've obviously gone through this now, is the worst thing is that you actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you actually learn something. You actually get some results from it. Like that's probably the worst thing from showing up in my mind, is like you actually realize that it's not the end of the world. Like it's pretty powerful stuff. And I think that's a massive thing for all of our members that have stuck at it for more than 6 months. Like they've seen progress, they've seen results, and then they're like, well, this is my life now and I actually enjoy this.
And just always ask questions if you're not too sure.
Yep.
Like I do.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another big thing, right? Like for your personality, you're a big numbers lady. So when it comes to like tracking food and calories and stuff like that, like everything has to be spot on, which is fantastic. Like it's perfect client material.
Everything's weighed.
Yeah. And that's fantastic. Like if that works for you, that's great. And I suppose like how do you, because there's been times as well with the numbers where you freak out a bit.
Yes.
Like how do you kind of keep that in check so that it doesn't take over your life? Because it can be very quick to go, oh, it's not perfect, so I've failed the day. It's like, how do you kind of keep that in check each day?
If I get a bit like that, I'll message you, or I'll message Anita. People that are doing it as well. And I just take a breather and go, it is important, but it's not that important. What I mean? It's like, just take a breather and and then ask questions, if I need to, or how do I put this in, or how can I do that? Or if I want to have this, what can I go without, like I did yesterday? So,
And that growth to be able to like make that choice now to take a breath and actually think or reach out for help. Is that something you wouldn't have done prior to change, or is it something you would have just like lost your shit out and gone, nah, that's it, like I give up? Like, is it something you've kind of been able to do previously?
Walk away from it and just forget about it and just, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, save it for a later day.
Well, or just forget about it altogether.
Completely? Yeah, right. Okay, cool. And I suppose now, proof's in the pudding, can you see that mentality doesn't get you anywhere, really, does it?
No.
And I think that's really cool. So
I mean, look, even I've had like some of the people ask me, well, what do you have? So I've actually videoed, like just message through Messenger, and I do a little video thing, and I show, well, this is what I put in my lunch, and I do a thing, and they go, you weigh all that? I'm like, yeah, and they go, thank you for showing me that. I wouldn't have thought to do it that way. So, yeah.
So that's really cool. Like that is the fantastic part of why I love my job, is because potentially one day you guys as clients can actually spread knowledge as well.
See, because I'm not very good with like talking, like when you ask me questions and stuff like that, but I'm more of a hands-on person.
Yep.
Give me hands-on and I'm quite fine with that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So like, that's probably like the ultimate kind of pinnacle of a journey such as yours of, physical transformation, mental health change for better, all that sort of stuff. But the fact that you're now able to inspire others to potentially take that first step now as well, like that's fantastic. Like I really take my hat off to you, because same as anyone else that's been on the podcast so far, like they're now starting to see how awesome and how fulfilling it is to actually have someone either reach out for help to you, and you're not necessarily an expert in that field, right? But it's pretty cool to see that you can actually help another human being potentially be a better version of themselves. And I think that's just massive, and that's a huge win. So well done, Chief. We love to celebrate, obviously, wins like that. And I think that's really powerful. And I suppose, what would be your advice to someone out there kind of to finish off? Like, what would be your go-to thing for people that are struggling with, like making that first step and, not necessarily needing to join a gym, for example, but like are needing help? Like if you put yourselves in their shoes after what you've been through, like what would be kind of your first action step? Like what would be the go?
I usually just sit down and talk with them, like I've done with a couple of them. And
Yep.
I said, look, sometimes, you know, I may not have all the answers, so I'll send them to people that know the answers.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so it might be right for you, may not, but you can always give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't suit you, that's absolutely fine. You know, just, but that's all I do. I just encourage them, prompt them a little bit.
That's fantastic. That is absolute. That's a ripple one to finish on. So I suppose we'll leave it at that, Raneeta. It's
Yes.
been an absolute awesome experience getting to share your story with us today. So I really, really appreciate you coming on to the podcast today. And just want to say a massive thanks for coming on. I know you're nervous as hell.
Oh, heck yeah.
But you've done amazingly well, and I think it's really, really cool to see that you are now inspiring others around you. And I think go hard, just charge forward into the future. And I think there's some really, really positive and massive things coming your way, as all of our guys that have stuck out and you know, get results all the time. And yeah, so if you'd like to touch out and make contact with Miss Raneeta, she is on Facebook. You can hit her up on there. She loves a chat. She loves a coffee as well. And yeah, like it's absolutely massive. We do our walking group on Friday mornings as well, which you've actually started running the last K of as well. So there's another bit of growth there, which is really cool. So make sure you reach out if you'd ever love to have a chat with her, guys. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Chief.
No worries.
That was it.